So this video is going to be a little bit tricky, but I want to kind of talk about the different resolution your computer probably has and why you should utilize a higher one. Some of you guys might already know this, but regardless, kind of how this is going to work is I'm recording at 1080p. So again, it's 1920 pixels wide by 1080 pixels high. And kind of what it gives you is I have this cube dropped. We kind of are familiar with what's going on. I have this little more button right here. This has some extra settings. And I have this more button right here. This has some extra buttons. Realistically, I want to be able to see as much stuff on the screen at one time as I can. Now, normally in class, I would just change the resolution of my computer and you'd see it update actively, but I can't really do that in a nice manner on a recording. So jumping into Photoshop, this is effectively that. So again, we're down here, we have resize, show corner, and then more. Resize, show corner, the show more button, and then it's pretty much the same thing. So this is our 1080p resolution. Again, we're not seeing everything over here. Over here we pretty much see everything. It's all good. There's not a lot to display over here, at least right now. But if we were to go into item mode, something like that, depending, there's kind of a lot of menus that can be fit in here. And again, once you use it all up, now you need to hit this more button. So ideally you want to see as much of your screen at one time as possible. So jumping into 4K resolution, that's kind of this guy right here. So again, this is just a Photoshop image of a 4K scenario. But looking at this, we have the same box in the screen. He's got just gobs of space. Again, comparatively, it's the same size box. It looks like it's zoomed out, but this is just extra screen real estate. So over here, let's actually just take this image and bring it over here. So we have this image. This is our 1080p resolution. The height and width of this would be the resolution I just stated. But regardless, just look at the comparison here. This, I have all the same buttons right here. But right here, instead of it stopping and going to this and then running out of space, it just has all this room for extra buttons, hotkeys, whatever thing you kind of feel like putting there. And same thing here, we'll move the cube down to where the cube is starting at the same time. All these extra buttons. There's not this little more button. So same thing over here. I could have, I don't know, 50 things in here, and I'd be able to see all of them. Right here, after I got about 8 or 9, I would run out of space and I need to scroll up and down. So again, this isn't a necessity. You don't have to do this, but I highly recommend to kind of switch to the resolution that you can clearly read, but is as high as possible. So you kind of want to have that sweet spot of, I can read it, but I can just barely read it. I mean, I don't want you to strain your eyes and get a headache, but regardless, the problem with this, let's go ahead and look at just the 4K, would be if this is kind of this big this big on screen, I mean, you can't read this. So you want to kind of find that happy medium. So again, if you don't know how to change your resolution, on a Windows machine, you can right-click, Display Properties, change your resolution. On a Mac, you could go to the Apple menu, System Preferences, Display, or if anything, you could just Google it. It's really easy to do. But realistically, you want to be able to have as much screen real estate as possible because, again, if you're not combing through menus for buttons, your workflow is just going to be a lot easier and faster.